Hey everyone, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Luke Roxwell podcast. Today I am here with Shayne
Oh.
and Michael.
Aloha.
And just want to mention, I keep forgetting that I want to mention this at the beginning of the podcast. I've got like a method down, and so I keep doing it. But you can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. YouTube might be a little bit behind because I don't think anyone uses it. But it's going to be up there. Check it out. You have no excuse to not listen to this other than the fact that you don't support us. So there you go.
If you don't love us, you won't listen to it. As simple as that.
That's right.
I just want to say, when I was labeling or titling my audio file, I guessed that it was the 10th episode, and I'm so glad I was right.
Nice.
Oh, is it for this one?
Yeah, so I don't have I wrote Luke podcast 10, I think.
We've done so many now.
Yeah, I know.
So long.
I know. It's like we're
Double
actually
digits.
making it. Yeah, that's true. This is the first
Oh,
double-digit
milestone.
podcast.
Awesome.
Check mark. Awesome. So I think that and now Michael, you want to save your would you rather for the end, right? Because I know we have a couple of these to do at the beginning.
We can do both at once, or we can
Okay.
do one now, one at the end. Either way.
Okay. Also,
I think we should get them both out of the way.
okay, that's fine. I'll start with mine. We're yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm trying not to explain. Trying not to explain to the audience what we're doing. I've been told I shouldn't do that. So
Hey, don't talk about the podcast on the podcast, because then they'll know that we know we're on a podcast.
Yeah. It's
yeah,
like
really. All of a sudden, one of the people on the
fourth
podcast
wall
is
breaking.
like, "What?" Okay.
Too meta.
So this is kind of like, would you rather? Okay.
Sounds simple enough.
All right.
So if you had to choose, would you die by drowning, being burned alive, frozen, stabbed to death, or shot to death?
I actually thought about this, and they all kind of suck. I don't really know.
Well, you die, so yeah.
Well, like they're all
Well, the dying part's not what sucks. It's the
Yeah.
pain you have to go through.
Because I feel like if you drown, you're slowly losing consciousness and like gasping for air. Like I hate if I'm swimming in the pool and I just get a little bit of water up my nose. And you get that chlorine burn. Like imagine getting water up your whole body.
Well,
And then dying
apparently what
slowly.
happens when you drown is like the water pushes down on like your chest and your stomach and all that stuff, and then
Yeah, it's the
eventually your body is forcing you to take a breath of air, and so eventually you can't help it, and you just inhale water.
Yeah, it sounds terrible. And then freezing, you slowly, like your limbs hurt, and then they slowly go numb and like basically fall off. And then you burn to death. You're being burned to death.
Oh shit! I was just thinking, like, even if you just compare those two, if you just compare,
You're being burned to
if you just compare getting burned to death and freezing to death, that's hard enough.
Yeah. All these options. I don't know.
Let's
Where am I
start
getting
with
shot?
those. Let's start with those two.
My
Well,
clear choice. I have a clear choice.
Okay.
My clear choice is being frozen to death. because
I don't know, man. Go ahead,
If
though.
that is the least amount of pain other than drowning, but I already have a huge fear of drowning because I almost drowned before. So I'm going to choose freezing because I don't want to be stabbed or shot ever in life. So I'd freeze.
When did you
I
almost
think getting
drown?
stabbed would be the worst way to die.
I think being
Go ahead.
shot. I think shot would be worse. Here's why.
Yeah.
Because I think we talked about this a little bit. Because if you get shot, okay, no, actually, here's the thing: if you get stabbed, let's say you get shot in the same places or stabbed in the same places. If you get stabbed, you bleed out and die. If you get shot, you bleed out and die. Right? They're similar.
Yeah.
But here's why stabbing, I think, would not be as bad as getting shot. When you get stabbed, the blade, slices through your skin, and then through that slit in your skin, you bleed out and die. Right? Now stabbing is scarier. I think I'd be more scared getting stabbed by someone than getting shot. But if you get shot, the bullet punches into you. Like, kind of, it does hit you, like, kind of enters you with the, because it's pointed, but then it explodes out because you got those exit wounds. And
Yeah,
I feel
or,
like an exit wound would hurt so much more than getting stabbed.
Or hit your bones and just like hurts your skeleton.
It's like getting punched and stabbed at the same time. And like I think
Punched on the
I
inside.
would much rather get stabbed. I think
But I think stabbing would take longer to die, which is I think the worst part.
Yeah.
you would just bleed out.
Yeah, because if you're gonna die, like if I'm gonna die
You
for
have
sure
to
in
get
this scenario,
stabbed a lot more than you have to get shot.
yeah, which sounds like it's better. But if you're gonna die for sure either way, then
Okay, what about getting
stabbing sucks.
your wrists slit?
Yeah.
Or
Man,
I'm trying to think of something that wouldn't be. Yeah, I know. I keep kind of changing the question.
No.
This is dark.
I'm actually changing the question because I'm curious of what your answers are. You know, I think of another question and I want to know what you guys think.
Luke wants to know our suicidal thoughts.
the absence
No.
of was it the absence of existence, part 1.
That's true. So Shayne, or not Shayne, because Shayne, you said you out of all of those, you would choose
Yeah,
frozen.
out of those 5 choices, I would freeze. Yeah. I hate being cold, so
Dude,
that
but
says a lot,
freezing.
I feel.
Oh, I think freezing would really suck though. I think
Well,
I'd rather freeze
I
than
mean,
burn.
out of all the
Yeah, I'd definitely rather
choices,
freeze than burn.
I would rather freeze. I wouldn't choose any of them, obviously. But out of the choices, I would rather freeze because at least when I freeze, at least I can be by myself. There's not no one's killing me.
But now
Think
you
about
die.
it, like
Oh, go ahead, Michael.
And then I
sorry,
can just
if
go
I-
to sleep.
if I died like in one shot, like if I got shot and just died instantly, like shot in the head, I would choose that
No.
because no,
Let's say each one of these.
No.
Let's say that each one of these
you
lasts.
don't get that luxury.
No, because that like ruins it. Because then it's like, oh well, I take the
It
one
does.
where I
It's
didn't
too-
even feel
It's
it.
too easy. Yeah.
Well, that's the point though. Of having different choices, they're different.
Well, yeah, but they're different types of pain. Let's say each one lasts for 10 minutes,
Okay. Well, they're definitely freezing.
unless you die.
Yeah. I don't want to burn or drown for 10 minutes.
Yeah, freezing for 10 minutes, like you probably halfway through is when you stop feeling it. And
Yeah.
cold isn't. I mean, it's
Oh,
bad,
man,
but like it's more of
cold-
like a numb
But
thing.
see, like cold, I feel like we haven't experienced real cold.
Yeah, I don't like the cold. I hate how cold it gets in Virginia.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't
I
get
definitely
that
don't
cold.
think I'll be like I
Yeah,
won't be
I hate the
okay
cold,
with
yeah.
freezing.
Apparently there was
But-
some I think it was a Japanese or something. Apparently what they would do to this is really dark and horrible. And then here's the thing: we're gonna go into your would you rather, and it's gonna be lighthearted and funny, and then we're gonna get really dark again.
Yep.
They were trying to what is it when you freeze? Is it hypothermia? Is that what it is?
Cryogenic.
I don't know. It's basically frostbite, and they were trying to find ways to kind of cure it. And so to cure it, they would take their prisoners and like throw water on their arm and like throw them in the ice and freeze their arms. And then if they couldn't carve
fun.
it, they'd break their arm off. Like that's
Ouch.
scary to
Oh.
me.
That's pretty freaky.
Like frostbite, 'cause your fingers break off.
Yeah, but you wouldn't feel it.
But you have no hand, and it'd just be like the trauma
Yeah,
of it.
but but
It'd be a pretty horrific way to die, man. Like
it would
limbs
be.
falling off.
But
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel it, and that's if I'm gonna die, the trauma won't matter anyway.
That's true. Okay, so let's remove freezing.
Yeah. What was the slitting of the wrists? that
Wow,
you were
Luke,
talking about?
I'm
What was
trying to
with
keep
the
it
you just
interesting.
remove choices.
I know I changed.
What was
them.
with the slitting? Was the slitting of the wrists? You were
Oh,
talking
I don't
about
know.
earlier?
I was trying to think of like,
Okay.
because slitting of your wrists isn't really that painful, relatively speaking. But
Yeah,
it would be a
takes long time.
slow like bleed out. This is it. I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
Versus getting shot. But I can't really find a good comparison on those ones. Okay, how
I
about
think
burned alive or drown? Which would you choose?
drown.
burned alive.
Oh man, really? I would definitely drown. Burning alive
Yeah, I would
would be
choose drowning.
because think you touch the stove, and it's like the worst pain ever
Yeah, it's
on
it's pretty
one
bad. I would not
speck
choose
of your
that.
finger.
Yeah, but I don't know. Burning alive, I feel like you have less control of your death. When you drown, you almost know, or you kind of get to decide when you're gonna take that breath. But
No.
you burn alive, you just die. So
Well, no,
I'd rather
when you
not
drown-
be in
don't.
control.
You don't. When you drown, you don't have a. It's involuntary at a certain point.
Well,
It's like trying not to
what I
blink.
mean is that, yeah. But what I mean is that you can see the end coming when you drown.
Is that bad? I feel like that'd be better.
Not for me personally. No, I wouldn't want to see it coming.
I think when you drown, like if you're for sure dying when you drown, that means that you failed, which is worse than being killed. Because like I could have lived, but I didn't.
It's like I know. It's like in a platform game. I knew
a
I
good
should have
point.
jumped further.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna drown.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
now I'm gonna drown. My fault.
There's a
So,
whole
I would choose.
there's like a whole video of Mario jumping over something and then he misses the platform and then he falls, and then when he falls he like the camera follows him and he falls super far, and then all of a sudden he hits this ground. He's in this like limbo world of like zombie dead people and a bunch of dead Marios everywhere. It'd be like that, except he'd be drowning and he'd be like, no, I should have jumped further.
Yeah. What about you, Luke? What would you choose? How do you want to die? Yes.
I think I would drown.
Good choice.
Because like I said, I've actually heard that drowning is a little bit peaceful at a certain point. Like it obviously would be horrific and awful. Because
how would you
who
know?
told
How
you
would
this?
anyone know that?
Yeah.
How would
who
anyone
tell
know?
you that?
if you drown to
Don't
the
listen
point
to these lies, Luke.
if you drown to the point that you pass out and then someone rescues you. Whammo. See? Not
No.
too stupid.
But
No.
then, did you
No.
really drown if you didn't die?
No, you didn't drown.
Yeah,
Just-
I don't think that's how.
All right,
it
fine.
works.
I guess I don't know. I think that it would be more peaceful though. Like, dude, burning alive. That I think would
Burning
be
alive would suck.
Burning
more, I
alive
think.
would be the
It would
worst
be
one.
quick. It would be quicker.
No
to
way.
get it over with.
No way,
Yes,
dude.
then drowning.
Well, which is
yeah.
if burning
I think
alive is
so.
not the worst one, Shane, which is the worst one for you?
The worst one for me is probably being stabbed.
I think being stabbed is worse for me. Maybe being burned. Actually, maybe being burned alive. Being
Dude,
burned alive.
Burned
is worse
alive
for
would
me.
be the
I
worst.
say,
I promise.
I
Yeah,
say
dude.
being stabbed.
Dude, because like
Burned
you're
alive.
being cooked from the outside in.
No, burned alive would be the worst one. I promise. Because like, think about it. You touch the stove and you burned one speck of your pinky, and you're like, I'm so uncomfortable, and it's for like half of a second because you move it away.
Well, okay.
Imagine
not
just
gonna lie,
like
not
sticking
gonna
it
lie.
there
Wait,
and leaving it there. Your whole body.
Not gonna lie, I have this weird obsession. Well, not obsession, but I have this weird attraction, I guess, to
What?
like phoenixes. No, phoenixes. So there's a part of me that would probably like
Shane,
being burned
Shane,
alive. That's,
stop.
I would.
This is getting
No,
weird.
I'm not. It is getting weird, but no, I'm just saying. I would rather choose that, Luke. Don't argue my death. Let me die the way I want to die.
I
Give
have
Shane a Jedi funeral.
connection with phoenixes, so maybe I'd be okay with being burned alive. What? All right.
Just saying.
All right, moving on.
All right. yeah.
So, would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 1,000 duck-sized horses?
Are these all youth group questions? I feel like I've heard
Would
some
I
of
rather-
these before.
My friend asked me this the other day. He's a computer programmer.
Wait, what
if
is
that
it?
Makes any
One,
difference.
Say the
one
question
giant
again.
duck.
So one horse-sized duck, so a duck the size of a horse, he can still fly and everything, or 1,000 duck-sized horses.
One horse-sized duck.
Why? Why do you say this?
I say this because
why do you-
I've seen
why do you
horses
say
kick
this?
people. I've seen horses kick people, and I still think if a horse was the size of a duck, it could probably still kick almost just as hard. So that happening 100 times, or just tiny
But
little
just
horses
your
jumping on you,
shin.
kicking you in general.
Or your foot. They just step on your feet.
But getting hit in the shin by like a
until they-
shoe hurts.
But
Yeah,
until they
that
knock
hurts.
you over.
And then what
Yeah,
is
then
the
you
duck
shackles.
gonna do? It's gonna waddle away and maybe
Oh,
sit
no.
on you.
Here's the
No,
thing.
dude, a
No,
duck could grab
dude,
you and fly into
ducks,
the air and drop you.
Ducks. Oh well, even not. Well, ducks are bad. Canada geese
Yeah,
are the
they're-
worst.
Ducks
Those
are
are the
jerks.
worst animals.
Well, all the ducks I've ever seen in my life have been super nice.
Ducks are dicks.
Lucky you.
There's a video. There's a video of a duck like chasing a boat. It's like, so here's what happens. There's a dog in the boat, and this stupid duck or goose or something keeps jumping into the boat and attacking the dog. And so the guy with the dog keeps throwing the duck out of the boat, and eventually it keeps coming back in. So eventually he just guns it 45 miles an hour, starts speeding away, and the duck starts chasing him. Like, ducks are evil. Those, like, and if a duck was the size of a horse,
A horse. It's basically a dragon.
yeah,
It's just
it
a
is.
featherly dragon.
Yeah, it's
because
like-
geese.
And
Geese
imagine
can break your
dying
bones
to
with
that
their limbs.
sound. Like the last thing you hear is like wah, 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 getting pecked.
Yeah, huge wank.
It's like a dinosaur.
Well, they're both pretty sucky. I think I would choose the horse-sized duck because it'd be more of an epic battle. But like
Yeah,
if
it's
you
like
think
a
about
David
it, like
and Goliath.
Do I have a
Yeah,
weapon?
but
Do I get to choose a weapon?
you no weapon. So all would you rather start
What?
with like you're walking somewhere random and a
I
wizard
get
comes
to
up
choose
and
a
puts you in the
weapon.
situation. You're just there. But if you can like say if you're like in a field and you find a stick, maybe you can use that, but you probably will start with no weapon. No baseball bats or swords or anything. But like I think a duck would be pretty vicious because they're vicious creatures. But also swans can break your bones with their wings and they still have hollow bones. And
Wait,
a duck
ducks
is
do?
basically
Oh, horses.
swans do. Swans.
Will do ducks.
And a duck is basically a weaker swan, but a horse-sized duck is way stronger than a regular swan. So, a horse-sized duck would be a pretty formidable foe, basically like a dragon. Just can't breathe fire, and only has
Dude,
like 3
what could you
spaced out
do
talons.
to it?
on
What
each
could
foot.
you do to a duck that size?
You'd have to like, I think you have to like strangle it.
With what?
Your arms.
It's
You
neck.
have to jump up on its
It's
back.
neck.
Your arm.
That'd be like trying to strangle someone's chest.
Or a horse. I think
It's
its
like
neck
you
would probably be
couldn't
the
do it.
same as a horse's. You'd have to try.
If
You
you,
can-
if,
no, the
if some-
eyes. The weaknesses
I
are
want
always
you-
the eyes.
look,
eyes and
Matt-
fire are
Oh,
everything's
that's true,
weakness.
The eyes. That's the eyes. But
So you gotta
still,
make
if you
fire
think about it.
and put it in its eyes.
Sorry, blind it. But I mean, if you think about trying to choke it, it would be like someone standing next to you, and you go to hug them, kind of like a regular
Wait,
hug,
I'm
and you would have to
curious.
choke them on their chest. There's just no way.
What were you saying, Shane?
I'm curious to know, would the duck be able to support itself if it flew? Because I
It's
don't
a fully
think it could.
functional duck.
Oh,
It can. It works the same
Then-
now as it would have been
well,
if it was small.
Okay,
if it
'cause I'm
couldn't
trying
fly,
to
that
think
would
of the
change
scale of
things.
its wings. I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, I don't think it can support itself in the air. That's an advantage to us.
Yeah. Well, see, a horse is about like to its back, usually about 4 or 5 feet tall. And a duck's wingspan, I would make the duck's wingspan like around 10 feet.
And that duck's wingspan
Wide
would be
then.
like a car. And if it
Yeah, it'd be
flapped
pretty-
at you, I'm just thinking.
Oh, if that's
But
the
then,
case.
a
if-
thousand,
Oh!
a thousand tiny horses, dude. Like you get exhausted, I think, fighting like the first half,
Yeah.
and then you have to fight like 500
All right, hold on.
more.
Let me think about this.
Wait, they come
Hold-
in waves? Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
I don't know. Either waves or all at once.
If
Either
it's,
way,
if it's 1,000 all at once, here's my question: what is the environment? Or is there a cliff?
I think you're just in an open field.
So
this
like, is
wizard-
it grass? Could I see them?
Yeah, a wizard comes up to you and says, like, would you rather fight
Oh, yeah.
a horse-sized duck or a
Grass.
1,000 duck-sized horses? And then all of a sudden you're in a field of just green.
Yeah, Luke, the
short
wizard's
grass.
not going to give you all this information. You're not going to process, wait, how tall
I
is the grass before I
surrounded?
make this decision?
So we'll say there's like waves. I mean, there can be waves of horses.
I need
like
to know
waves of
because
100.
if I appear in and they're surrounding me, 1,000 horses.
You appear and they're approaching you.
So
in both
like
cases.
from one direction.
Yeah. So you have time to see them and know what you're fighting, but you have no weapons, and they want to kill you. A hard one.
I don't
It's
know.
like
I'm trying to think of 1,000.
horse-sized ducks or
What
duck-sized
is-
horses.
Are
Part
are
of me
exhausting
wants to
fight.
say the horses because I don't want to get smacked by the duck's wing. Look, that would hurt. Or just blown away, actually.
But like, imagine getting kicked in the shins like hundreds of times.
Oh no, I'm still saying duck, but that part of me makes me
If
want to
you,
change
yeah,
my
I'm
mind.
trying to think through this. What is 1,000? Like what group of people is 1,000?
Like 100 times 100.
Okay. What? No, that's 10,000. If-
1,000.
100
no,
times
I'm-
100 is
I'm-
1,000.
Well-
Luke, just imagine 1,000 ducks, but as horses.
All right, let me
That's a lot.
clarify what I'm trying to say. A football field is how many people
Like in the football field or in the stands?
in the stands?
Oh, you're trying to get like a scale of.
I'm trying to
how-
think of how many
Does it take
horses
up?
that is.
Like
How many
Okay, so-
people can fit in the Norva?
I actually was just thinking about that. I think it's about 5 to 700.
Oh man. So it's like double the number of people in the Norva. Oh
on
man.
the floor at least. So
That's
yeah.
a lot of people.
So
Or that's
like,
a lot of ducks.
a lot
or
of
horses. Horses.
Let's
Yeah.
say even if we lowered it to like 100 horses, I think that'd still be a lot.
I would rather get killed by horses. People would be like, "How'd Luke die?" Oh, a duck killed him.
Dude, a
But a
horse-sized duck,
gigantic duck.
a giant duck. That's a lot cooler than a bunch of tiny horses.
Yeah, and people will picture a
Yeah.
duck this size.
This
of
is
And
a
it's
dog.
much
basically
more
a-
rare.
But it's basically a dragon, dude. It's like you're fighting a dragon. A feathery dragon.
Yeah, but no one's gonna know that.
They won't know either
If someone
way,
was
probably.
like, "Oh, he got trampled by 1,000 horses,"
I mean, if they find you dead, and if you're saying they're not going to believe you, it's because they can't find the animals. They're not going to be like, "Oh, he was trampled by 1,000 tiny horses." Obviously, they'll
Are you
never know
gonna
what
base
happens.
your
Either
decision
way.
about what people are gonna say about you when you die?
So they'll find you, but they won't know that you died from 1,000 tiny little horses, because that's not how like the world works.
well,
Yeah, Luke. Don't base your decision
What?
off of what people are
what do
gonna
you mean
think
that's not how
about
the
you.
world? We're fighting a giant duck. What do you mean that's not how the world
Well,
works?
you're talking about like your legacy. Like you don't want people to know that you got killed by a giant duck, but they're not gonna know either way. They're
Yeah,
not gonna
Luke,
find
you
you
have
and
to-
look at you.
Luke,
and like he was obviously
you
killed
have
by
to-
1,000 duck-sized horses. What a hero! Like they're
You
not
have to
gonna know.
understand the circumstances, Luke. You're just walking, minding your own business on some forbidden path, and a wizard comes up to you and gives you these two options. You have 3 seconds to choose. This is all the thought you get. You don't get to get all the details.
Why?
You don't think
Okay,
about little
hold on.
Johnny down the
Please-
street.
No, here's the
and
thing.
how he looked up to you,
Why do
and how he's
people-
gonna think, "Wow, my idol Luke
No, stop.
got beat
because,
by a
because
duck."
why is it that when people ask these questions, like these questions are supposed to bring thought, like you're supposed to think about it, and then people always go, no, don't think, just answer. And it's like the whole point.
Because
it's
your
an
immediate
icebreaker.
reaction.
No, it's because you're supposed to think about it,
Yeah.
but only in the context of this thought experiment. You're trying to bring in other things to the experiment. This is a very controlled room. Like if you can think about all the stuff while you're there, but you can't go and grab other
somebody
things.
asked me the same exact question, but they were like, would you rather fight, what was it? Oh yeah, it was the same sort of question, but it was like 100 cat-sized T-Rexes or 1 T-Rex-sized cat. That was the question. And I was like, all right, well, hold on. Is this... Wait, what was it? What was the answer? Or no, it was like 1 T-Rex or 1,000 cats. Something like that. And I was like, well, are these cats lions? Because if they're lions, then I don't want to fight those.
That's good. That's a good question.
See? And
I
they're
would-
like,
I would-
you
yeah,
can't
I
answer-
agree.
you
That's
can't
a
ask the
clarifi-
question.
That's a clarification question.
I agree with that
That's
question, Luke. I
understandable.
think you should be able to ask that.
Yeah.
I agree. I would not fight 1,000 lions. Or any amount of lions.
I would probably... Here's the way... Okay, I think I would fight the duck because it's one point. It's one thing that I have to fight.
Yeah,
instead
fighting
of,
1,000
like-
little horses would be harder.
But I would hate to if something was going to kill me, I'd rather die by the horses because I don't want to hear the evil sound of a duck as I'm dying. Because ducks are so annoying, and to die by them, it's just like
They are. They play like a big bassy, like
pecking you.
bwah, bwah, bwah. It's like a giant duck with a huge voice.
Okay, wait. What was my answer was the duck. What was your
I
answer?
choose
I
the
think
duck.
we all picked the duck. Yeah.
Can we fight the duck
That's the
together?
duck.
I'll take the wings. You guys attack the feet, and then Michael go for the eyes.
There we go.
Defeat it.
Take down.
I want to say
Take
something
down the
earlier.
duck.
Like, I love how in every movie and video game, whenever they're fighting some kind of monster, they always realize one of two things. Like, oh, it's afraid of fire, guys! It's afraid of fire. Or the weakness is the eyes. Hit it in the eyes. Those two things are everything's weakness.
And if it's
It's only-
if it's a video,
It's only
go
not their
for the
weakness.
legs.
It's only not their weakness that they're either made of fire or they don't have eyes. They can just pick the other one.
That's true. Here's the thing: if we fight it, we just have to stand there, and it will just stand there and look at us, and then it will do a single attack, and then we just all have to attack it at once while it gets stuck. Because that's the way it always works in the video games. It's always like
Exactly.
swing, and then they get stuck in the ground, and you got to run at it and attack it while it's stuck.
And then you beat it up. Yeah.
And it's probably
There
going to
you
do
go.
3 different attacks at different
Windows of
times.
opportunity.
He's
So
got to
we'll
do a
learn
roll
its
around
pattern.
it and then press up A. Slash it in the butt.
It's gonna
There's
peck
there's
at you
other
3
sound.
times, and the 3rd time it's gonna get stuck in the ground, and we gotta attack it.
Now, if I could have a sword,
Back
that'd be
mechanics.
awesome. That'd be the coolest battle against.
Okay,
the
how about this?
dragon
If
duck.
you could have a sword, would you fight the horses or the duck?
I also that would make the duck fight way
The
cool.
duck would be easier. Yeah, yeah.
And it'd be so cool. Like I would love to fight a giant duck with a sword. I would enjoy that.
But like if you fought the horses, you could just keep slashing through like
yeah,
tons of
it wouldn't be
horses.
as cool. It'd be
If you
probably
have
be,
the strength to keep that up.
That's
yeah, swords
true.
are heavy.
Yeah, actually,
But
I was talking to someone about this. Like, if you had a sword, like a regular sized sword, and you tried to chop someone's head off, I don't think you'd be able to do it.
Well, the reason why it's so heavy is like you use the momentum of the sword to chop through their head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
So it might
okay,
not be
not
that
like a broadsword or whatever those super huge swords are, but just like a regular
Okay.
sized sword. I don't think you'd be able to chop off someone's head like us, because
Yeah, maybe that.
we would chop probably to the spine and then hit the bone, and then it would get stuck. I don't think we could chop the head off. It's not. It's difficult. I've tried it before.
Now I want to know how good my chopping skills are.
Yeah.
So Luke, would you rather die by getting chopped in the neck with a sword, or by Anyway.
Or die by a duck.
or a giant duck?
I don't know. It's always about dying. I think we should make every would you rather about something.
This whole
about some
podcast has
sort
been
of
about dying so far. Well, not really. We're not dying to or killing the duck. We went from dying to killing.
You're probably gonna
that's progress.
die. You're probably gonna.
So
die.
we think until it kills us.
What if last caveat, if you had like a baseball bat or just like a big like staff, would you choose the duck or the horses?
I would
change
choose the
anything?
duck in every occasion possible.
What if you had a machine gun?
Unless the duck breathed like fire or something.
If I
then
had a
probably
machine
choose
gun, I
the
would for
horses.
sure pick the
Hold
horses
up, what
because
would
the
make
duck
the
would be
duck
too fast.
harder?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
If you did machine gun, that would make killing the horses.
what
fast.
if you had a lawnmower?
Like a riding lawnmower or like a regular push mower or what?
Yeah, like a riding lawnmower.
Because the blades
You would be
wouldn't probably hit the horses.
You would be so handicapped. Yeah, no.
What? You just
You just
run
be
them
like-
over? Trip them
No,
up,
because
zip
You
over.
wouldn't. You wouldn't run them, Luke. You wouldn't run them over.
they would
Sure.
go around you.
No, 'cause-
you
I don't know what.
make it really
Unless you have a
tall.
riding
They
mower.
go around you. You're like riding the mower, and they're just like
Exactly.
whipping
Yeah,
past
they're not
you
gonna-
on the edges.
Yeah,
They're
because
not
like most
dumb.
No, they're
riding
gonna
mowers
get
are pretty.
stuck in between each other, and you're gonna just mow them over.
Well, most mowers are
Or
pretty
they're gonna
short.
leap like normal horses, knock you off.
Oh yeah.
What if
They
you?
can
What
still-
if you had a truck?
Yeah, I would do that.
You would.
Pretty
You would
fun.
fight the horses if you had a truck.
Yes. Let's go like mudding through all these horses. Horsing.
Just running over horses.
Be cool.
Yeah. Okay. So we would all fight the duck. Michael,
Yeah.
you have a topic that this is the first time we're going to talk about something like this.
Yep.
So why don't you take over?
Great that we're going from death, from dying to killing.
I know this is gonna be
Racism.
this is going to be an interesting topic.
Yeah. So, just for people at home, I've been trying to think of a topic the past couple of days to talk about today, and we try to stay away from politics mostly because that's just not really our thing. But a lot's been happening lately, and it's been on my mind. So on this past weekend, there was a riot / protests. I'm gonna call it a protest in Charlottesville. So basically, what I know, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because for me, I feel like these days it's impossible to figure out what's the facts on
It really
anything.
is.
Yeah, unless you're there.
Like
impossible.
everything you hear is like 3 different people's opinions being filtered through some other person's opinion, and like
Or this local source.
yeah. So
There's-
listeners,
I have a whole rant. I won't go into it, but I have a whole rant about SEO and news and the type of articles people write and why they write them, and why you can't
Yeah.
trust most things that are written. But I won't.
it's all crazy.
Well, a lot of it is just it's to get people to read the articles,
Yeah.
and people
There-
tend to
there are
read things that
articles-
make them angry.
there are people there
Yeah, we talked
like-
about that too.
websites who make like articles where literally the bottom half of it is just gibberish. Like it's not a real article. They just try to see if people will share it. It's ridiculous.
That doesn't
Anyway.
surprise me.
Like it'll be like Hillary Clinton kills Obama, and then it'll say like 2 sentences, and the rest of it will be like just like random letters, and people will still share it. Anyway,
All about the headline.
It is.
so I say that just so that way, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, listeners. I don't know everything for sure. I'm not really a political person. I'm not all up in this ever. But this
Just
just
an
seems
opinion.
so.
Don't get so butthurt.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this is what I know or what I've heard. So this past weekend, there was a protest about the removal of a Robert E. Lee statue in Charlottesville, Virginia, from what I believe.
It was two. It was two statues.
2
I forgot
statues.
the other person.
What was the other?
I don't remember who
Oh.
it was, but some other Confederate.
Yeah, 2 Civil War generals from the South, and I believe it was the KKK, some white supremacists, and some neo-Nazis all out there. And from what I understand or gather, at first it was all peaceful. I don't think they went there with the intent to riot. They were just speaking their minds. But then there was like some counter protesters. I'm not sure exactly what groups. I assume maybe Black Lives Matter was there. Maybe just some random like people who just don't like mean people came out and like counter protested them, and things got heated. and someone from the white supremacist group drove over a counter protester named Heather Heyer and killed her. And about 30 people were injured. I think a fight broke out. I'm not really sure about all the details. I do know a fact. So one of my pastors at my church, we talked about this last week with the youth group, and he met with the police chief from Hampton, who talked directly to the police chief in Charlottesville, who said that it was one of the white supremacist groups, like individuals who ran over somebody.
Right.
I know that for sure. But there's a lot you can talk about here. Like there's like, how important is it to keep like historical things up? Like there's the racism involved. There's like neo-Nazis. Like there's Nazis again. It's lots of craziness going on.
Yeah, the kid or whoever the guy who hit the people in the car, he was with the Nazi group because they interviewed his teacher, and she said that as long as she's known him, he's always been obsessed with Hitler, and would always
That is so weird.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I said, and you didn't say anything before,
Hitler.
lady. Yeah.
So this is something that I guess I wanted to talk about. So maybe we can talk about this now. It's like, so I feel like the white movement in general, it seems like they want to bring America back to like the good old days. Like, like the early 1900s when we were like at war and stuff. But like,
right. Like post World War. That's so
yeah,
weird.
but like
it's
in
like
the good old days,
post World War II, where we defeated Nazis.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
the
like,
good old
wait,
days,
what?
we were fighting Nazis, and now it seems like the people who want to go back to that, not all of them, but there's this weird subgroup of people who actively support Nazism, who also equate that with the good old days, and I'm really confused on that. I saw this funny post. It was like, when they have like those, like, it'll be a picture of like a screenshot of text messages between like the Avengers or whatever. It was like Captain America and Iron Man, and Captain America's like, sweet, I'm unfrozen again. What did I miss? He's like, oh, well, we're fighting Nazis. He's like, what? I thought we beat them. He's like, yeah, they're out here again. He's like, oh, let's go punch them. No, you can't go punch the Nazis now. Like, what? We can't punch Nazis? No, why not? Because this is America. And Captain America's like, that's why we punch Nazis.
I could actually go off on that one. Do you guys think it's okay and justified to punch a Nazi?
Do we think it's okay to punch Nazis?
Yeah.
No, it's not okay to punch anyone.
I think
but
if they're actively Naziing, like if they're out there,
it
like
depends what. Yeah.
physically oppressing somebody, then I think definitely. But if they're just out there being a Nazi, I don't think it's okay to punch people for their beliefs.
Yeah, you shouldn't punch someone because they are a Nazi. But if they're doing, activities that they shouldn't be doing,
if they're acting,
they're actively
doing some sort of action, and you have a reaction. If they're just talking, this is why I need to get somebody who's extremely different politically. I don't think we all agree on the same politics, but we do have similar opinions on some of the base values of things. For example, I don't think that if a Nazi is talking and has not done anything that you can prove, you can't just go punch him. I know it's a Nazi. I hate Nazis.
That doesn't
Nazis
solve the problem anyway.
But it's like you can't. We live in a society where you can't treat words as violent acts. That's my opinion.
I agree. Like, also, it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't help anything. If anything, it helps the Nazi because it brings sympathy to them. Like, they were just trying to talk and spread their views, and people hit them.
There's a whole piece of this whole Charlottesville thing that I can go off of that kind of goes along with that. So to clarify a few things before I get into this, politics. I never liked politics, and I never wanted to get into them ever, outside of this podcast or on this podcast. But see, the people who are irritated. See, people did this. They caused this. I'm into politics now because it was just impossible to know anything or trust anybody on anything, because it was all. Everyone had their strong opinions, and the opinion was always I'm right and they're wrong because they're stupid. That was always the opinion. And so then I got to know people on one side, and then I got to know people on the other side, and there are very smart people on both sides, and very good reasons to follow both sides. That's my opinion. So I'm kind of like in this middle ground now where I'm trying to figure out, well, what do I believe now that I understand that if I stay long enough in one group, everything in that group makes sense.
Yeah.
Within reason.
Well, I think each groups have their moderates and their extremists and their, I don't know, whatever the opposite of extremist is. They're lukewarmists who have
hey, I
different...
find that a little offensive.
lukewarm. they have their different side, like different areas of like their focus on their beliefs. Like I think a lot of conservatives, they really just value working hard, and they just want to protect what they've worked for. And I respect that. Like that's what the whole world is about working hard and making a name for yourself and for your family. And then when you have your stuff, just hey, don't touch my stuff.
Right.
I get that. But then there are also people in the same group who like wanna like push other people out, like refuse to help other people get a leg up to get to where they've been, or are just upset that different kinds of people want to live where they live. I don't agree with that.
Right.
And there are people who on the other side who just want like equality for their people, which I totally get also. But
Right.
then there are also people in that group who want to like disadvantage the other groups just to make it like even, like kind of revenge. And on both sides are people who just want to cause divide in general. They just want there to be
Yeah.
division for some reason.
And those are the type of people that tend to bother me the most. People that cause conflict, that stir things up. Because I remember, Michael, you said a while ago that you're kind of a peacemaker and you like to try and make their peace between people. I have a little bit of that as well. I can stir things up, hopefully in a positive way. Like I like to discuss things and challenge people on things. But there is a part of me that's like very much tied to the idea of like, let's challenge each other and talk about these things so that we can find the common ground and find peace. But people that are the opposite of that that take things that aren't problems and stir things up and make people angry at each other, or especially deceptively, those people bother me more than I think anyone else.
We should punch those people. Forget Nazis. Let's punch instigators.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. I think to go back to the Charlottesville thing. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember the details because I've really heard a lot about it the last couple days.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, well, I was gonna say like just to add to what you said, like some detail because I actually do know a little bit about it. I think it was 19 people got injured, and then the one girl died, and then the 2 police officers that were flying to the scene crashed.
Yeah,
So
how did that happen? Was that just a random accident?
Yeah, I think they were they were flying out to rescue people from the event. So it happened because of the event, but not. I don't really think that I hold
Not directly.
anyone at the event
indirect,
responsible
yeah.
for it. Right. If I
if
don't
the
think
event didn't happen,
it doesn't
that wouldn't
count
have happened,
in
but,
my
yeah.
opinion. Well, it's like freak accidents will always happen regardless of whether an event is happening or not. So I don't know
because that wouldn't have happened because they wouldn't have flown out.
Well,
That
yeah, but you
particular
could say
one
it for
wouldn't have.
anything. You could be like, oh, well, if you didn't live in in Virginia
Well, yeah, that's
on
life.
that police force, so it's like I don't hold the event responsible for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's indirect. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Yep.
So, but there was them, and then there was something else you said that I wanted to make sure I clarified. Yeah, I think they were protesting the removal.
The Robert
of
E. Lee statue. 'Cause that's what I've been hearing.
But it was like
They've
a
been trying to
pre-organized
remove it.
event, and then things started escalating on both sides. People started kind of to fight or like push each other around, or like if someone's taking a picture, people swatting cameras out of each other, just getting riled up. And then there are some stories that I don't know if something was going on around that guy's car, and then he sped up, and then he just kept driving. But you do see the car speeding up, and he just rams into these people. Just drives into them, and then he backs up and drives away from them. So anyway, those are a lot more details that I've kind of heard. But I have opinions, but I know Michael, you're kind of leading this, so you go ahead and keep going.
Yeah.
I don't want to take over.
You're cool. So like there are three big things that I think I pick up from here. One is it worth it to keep Civil War history pieces when it causes so much divide? Like on one hand, you can't like remove history. You can't just say, oh, we don't want to think about this anymore, so we're just gonna erase everything that documents it. And I think like it's a little bit more complicated in America because we are such a big group of different groups of people. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about all that.
What I find weird about it, and I think it's a larger thing where it's you want to hold on to the past because you're afraid of the future. With the change to the statues and stuff, they're trying to move forward, and the people who want to keep the statues are trying to hold on to a past that they weren't even involved in. Your ancestors were, sure, but why do you hold so much why do you hold so much, not pride, but why does this mean so much to you that you're not okay with it just being changed to something else that, reflects what's happening now in whatever environment you live in? And so that's why I don't understand why it's such the hugest deal about, all right, let's change these things, because why is it such a big deal,
They say the same thing
To a
about
point where you're gonna
African
go
Americans
kill
who want to
someone.
remove them too, because
Yeah.
they say the same thing about African Americans too, because they're like, well, you weren't a slave. Why does this bother you so much? I think,
I say the same thing. I said, why does this bother you so much?
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? It's like you weren't
I kinda-
involved.
I get it though, because I mean, I think
it's a weird
if anything
situation.
reminds you of oppression of your people, like I get why that you wouldn't want that to be around. Like I
Right.
understand it, but it's weird on both sides.
My thing with just like as a black person, and my problem with Black Lives Matter movement, I mean, I kind of support it, but they hold so much to something that they're not affected by, really, because you know what I mean. I don't think ever really in my life that I've been like oppressed, so I'm not going to go preaching don't oppress me. I've never been oppressed, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why does you're so passionate about something that doesn't affect you? I can understand, wanting to stand up for other people and whatnot, but I feel like we go too far with, or people in general just go too far with protest, trying to defend something or someone that really doesn't affect them, and then they bring themselves into situations like this where now you're dead because you cared about something that really had nothing to do with you.
Right, and that's the
I
thing.
think,
The sad part is that the fact that people are, I don't know, people are getting hurt, people are getting angry, people are fighting, and all these rough, awful things that are kind of going on, and it's like I want to make sure that people are dying for a good reason. People are fighting. That's why it's so amped up, because in so many of these things, people get so angry, and it's like, does this matter? Is this really that important? And I'm not saying that any of these aren't or are. I just am saying it really matters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. Like, I have no issue with protesting. Obviously, that's a right that you have. Do it. Go for it. That's awesome. But choose the things that are important to protest about. This changing a statue is not that serious.
Actually, that's a big deal, because people.
I mean, it is, but not enough to kill people.
I literally jumped in, thought something else, like something you said earlier, that make sure it counts, because right now people pretty much freak out about every little thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
Yeah, they do.
And so now I don't
internet.
care about anything, because it's always like, oh sure, all right, I'm sure it's the end of the world, everyone's gonna die, the worst thing that has ever happened in history is happening right now, I've heard it all before, I get it, and it always goes away. And so it's like people are crying wolf over things, and it's desensitizing me to every little thing, because everyone loses their mind over everything.
I think they get offended
problem.
for some. I think people would just get offended just to be offended, because I mean, I
do.
don't know, for real. So the area I live in, it's a pretty racially diverse area. I live in Hampton Roads, Virginia. My dad was in the military my whole life, so we always moved around different military bases.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My mom's from
Which branch?
He was in the Navy.
Oh,
Until I was
so
until
is
I
my
was
dad.
about 10. Oh, crazy.
I mean, if you live in Hampton Roads, probably.
Yeah, so-
that's fair.
And my mom's from Puerto I and everywhere we moved, I always had friends with tons of different races, because the military has tons of different races in it. So growing up, I was always in a really diverse group, and no one that I ever met was ever racist. Maybe one or two people who their parents told them some weird things, but I never encountered any racist people who were in my generation, really. There's a few, but they're not my friends. They're not people that I see. And I have a lot of friends.
Racist people.
Huh? Yeah, outwardly
I said
racist.
no, outwardly, because I mean everyone's a little bit racist.
Or at least not enough that it matters. People.
Yeah, exactly,
People have self-preservation. It's just kind of
Shayne, what's your perspective? I'm curious. I mean, have you experienced a lot of racism in Virginia or in New York?
Well, definitely not really in New York, because New York is one of the most diverse places
Right.
in the world. But no, not. I've really never experienced racism. I mean, I maybe get people who might stare at me a little too long in stores, but
Which could or could not be racism. You do have hula hoops.
exactly. I'm not.
You do have hula hoops
well,
that you walk
exactly.
around.
I do walk around in stores with hula hoops and other trinkets and whatnot.
Right.
That might just be purely based on how interesting of a person you are.
Yeah,
Your
exactly. No,
personality.
I like to Yeah.
Well, I was
exactly. It
gonna say though,
radiates.
like, despite all the people who we know that aren't very racist, there's a few, but like, I think most people who
Oh,
my point
I
is
know racist people.
most people that I know who complain about racism are not people who would be affected. They're random like white college students, like little blonde girls
Oh,
from
college
like the rich part of
students.
Virginia
Oh yeah.
College
who are
students.
complaining about oppression in America. Like no one that I know, no one who would be oppressed
Like no one cares what you have to say.
is actually that upset about it. It's like this big thing. And okay, I feel like we're getting really far from what I wanted to talk about. Like I don't want to act like net problems aren't real. My point is there are real problems, but the people who are freaking out about it the worst, who are causing the problems, I don't think they're the people who actually
Well,
are involved.
There
in
is
the
a point
problems.
where I think that people should
They're not.
people should
It's
stand
never
up.
the people
should
involved.
stand up for other people. But I do think
Agreed.
that it's like
Yes.
if
They're creating
we
problems that
shouldn't
don't
amp
exist.
up
though.
things that aren't a big deal to people. But people have gotten really good
Yeah,
at doing that.
like,
The,
yeah.
the other thing I want to say too, really quick, is anybody listening to this podcast who disagrees or thinks that we're wrong or there's something going, because I know politics are just a burning fire. If you disagree, we are reasonable people and we want to talk about this stuff and we want to learn. So if you think something's wrong, tell us. We'll talk about it. Like, look,
Yeah.
we're not getting angry at
Not
anybody.
hating
We're not
opinions.
blowing up. We're just talking about what we have experienced. And so if there's something you have a problem with this, we're reasonable people and we'll talk about it.
But back to the history stuff. Like, I see how having like things that remind you of a war that was directly or indirectly, whatever you want to believe about whatever your alternative facts are, I don't know, like a war that was about oppressing your people. I understand how people could see that and feel uncomfortable or feel sad or like not want to see it anymore. I get
Right.
that. Like if we lived in a country that was taken over by another country and we kept seeing like monuments of our defeats, we'd be pretty sad too. Like I get it. But I also get that people like want to remember where they're from, because there were great men on both sides of the war that fought for what they believed in, and that were just like great warriors. And the world loves remembering great warriors. And you don't want to erase history, but you also don't need to keep reminding people of everything that happens
Right.
either.
I think that like no matter what it is, I don't think that these statues should be knocked over and destroyed. Because first of all, that's vandalism, which is wrong. And second of all, it's like if it is a war thing, like if there's a statue of if there was a Nazi flag, if we found a swastika flag somewhere in Germany, it would go in a museum because it wouldn't be displayed. We wouldn't fly it. We wouldn't. It's like I think all monuments are tied to some sort of memory or something that happened, and a memory could be negative. It could be like, look at this person on a horse who was on the horrible side of this battle. This is, I don't know. I mean, there are discussions that can be made about it. I'm open to.
Well-
People shouldn't be knocking these statues over, though. I think that's wrong.
I think it all comes down to this, really. This was between a group of people who wanted to keep the statues up and a group of people who wanted to take the statues down. All of this could have been settled in a room, a meeting, talking to
Democracy.
each other.
Voting.
Honestly, I don't-
if
And
you want to
just-
take the
and
statues
just to
down,
talk- but that's
vote
my thing,
people in who
which
will
is my
do
whole.
it.
No, but that's my whole. Well, this is my opinion. I mean, we don't have to talk about this now, but it's a whole broader issue of why, because we just lack the ability to be human sometimes, and we just kill each other instead. But that's a little off of the Charlottesville thing. If we want to keep talking,
Yeah, I want to keep
Right,
going
right.
with this.
Yeah.
Well, you made a good point that like this could be solved in just a room, but I think that kind of reveals that this isn't just about the statues. Like
So, honestly,
there's-
it never is just
yeah.
about the.
So
yeah,
there's a
it's
very
never
deep.
just about
I do think that at least the problems that we're having during that protest and now in response to the protest is based in either racism or people's perception of racism or institutional racism, whatever. There's obviously a
I think
problem
it was
with
just
racism
an
in America
opportunity.
that's happening. And that's what's blowing this up.
Do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it was an opportunity to exploit racism. Someone just found the opportunity. Oh, this is great. They want to support a Confederate statue. Oh, racist. It's simple, easy to do.
It
Blows
is
up
just,
on the
just
news.
speaking
Oh,
as
racist.
Speaking as a a white person, it's like
You know what racist is?
it is weird. I do think it's kind of wrong when people kind of harp on people saying like, oh, you don't see color, you don't see color. It's like, no, I'm not saying I don't see it. I just try not to make it a factor in what I decide.
I don't define someone by that.
It's like, do I like the person? Are they fun to hang around with? Do they laugh at my jokes?
Yeah.
And I don't really consider, well, but what color are they? That's what I think a lot of people mean when they say they don't see color. But I don't know. It's such a frustrating situation because it is a card that if someone does play the race card on me, I don't know what else to do other than to back off because it's such it's such a losing battle. I can't discuss it, and it really, I just don't talk about it. I really don't.
Please explain to me how I'm being racist. Like come from a point of view where you want to learn. Right. That's in quotations. Ask them, well, why do you think I'm racist? Because no, it's true. And because 90% of the time, they will not be able to explain to you why you're being racist. Besides saying something stupid like, "Oh, you stole my ketchup" or whatever. It's very trivial.
Very specifically
ketchup. Big thing. It's like, point out to me how I hate an entire race of people because I disagreed with your opinion, right. Or how I don't like maybe how one particular person dresses or whatever it might be. Tell me how that makes
the weird
racist.
Part about it is the fact that it's like, look, I think racism is horrible and awful. And so I don't stand with it just like anybody. But the problem is that I'm afraid that people take that and they're going to kind of hurt their outcome because of what they keep assuming people are thinking. So for example, when I don't get a job interview or I fail a test or somebody doesn't like me just because I'm like a white male, I just assume, shoot, I either did something or they're just not a reasonable person or I just don't get along with them. That's pretty much always what I assume. I don't think I've ever assumed something was sexist or racist or anything. And that makes me want to be a better person rather than kind of assuming that someone else is to blame for these. And I'm not saying people do this. I'm just saying I'm afraid that people might do this.
I think it depends on where you come from. Like,
that's true.
I'm half Puerto Rican, but I look white, and like I act more white than I do Hispanic. So I'm basically a white person, like to most people. And like so Luke, you and I.
How do you act Hispanic?
I don't know.
I mean, there is a culture.
Yeah, there's a culture.
Exactly. How do you act? Yeah, I know that.
Like people who see me, they're always surprised.
That's always been my thing. It's like, how do you act? When people are like, oh, you act white or you act.
I mean, I cook Hispanic.
How do you act? How do you act?
I cook everything with coconut oil, and I eat a lot of rice. Well, that's how I'm Hispanic.
You?
So that's how I am Hispanic. That's how I show my culture. But so my point is like Luke, you and I don't really have to deal with people like judging us on our race in ways that matter. Like most people who are in authority are white.
Oh, and I'm totally open to the idea that I just don't get it. I'm open to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it just doesn't really happen. Like it doesn't happen in a way that matters to you. But there's people who are minorities who that's something that's on their mind because it does happen to them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think
so. It is a little bit different for other people who they can assume and probably do assume that, oh man, they probably just want to hire me because I'm a woman or because I'm African American or I'm Hispanic.
But like if you let that decide what you're gonna do, like if I said, oh well, I'm not gonna study more because my teacher is definitely a racist and that's the only reason I got this grade, the only reason, so I'm not gonna study anymore. What if I'm wrong? And now I'm not making myself a better person because I've shifted the whole grade on somebody else. Wait, yeah. What about when that happens?
People don't think like that, Luke.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
That's dumb. I guess that's just their stupidness.
That's why I'm just trying to say.
No. What I mean what I'm saying is that would be smart thinking. People do just say that they're like, oh, I didn't get this because, and they'll come up with whatever reason, sexist, racist, discrimination, whatever type of reason, because it's an excuse not to try harder, to be better. You know what I mean? Whenever if I haven't gotten a job, which I've gotten most of the jobs I've ever applied for, I don't assume, oh, they didn't hire me because I'm black. No, I don't think that's ever crossed my mind, except when I applied for Chipotle, because they only hire Mexican people. So that's a different conversation. At least in New York, in Brooklyn. But
I mean, I feel like some people might assume like they'll see someone who's not Mexican making their food, like Mexican food. A Mexican.
Oh yeah.
It'd be like if I went to let's make it white, okay? If I went to a Swedish meatball place, and the person wasn't Swedish, I'd be like, okay, hold up. Are these real Swedish meatballs? 'Cause
Yeah,
they're
even if the
called
dude has,
Swedish
even if the guy
meatballs.
had a southern
I get
accent.
no, I get it. It's for an aesthetic. It's for an
How
aesthetic.
y'all want
it's
your
for a brand. I understand
Google
that.
guy pants?
But don't put on your application, we don't discriminate against race and all these other things, but you only hire Mexicans.
Yes.
What kind of stuff did they ask you in the
So
interview?
where were you going with that, Shane? Let's get back on track.
I didn't get the interview because I don't have a Spanish last name. My friend, whose last name was Rodriguez, she got an interview. Not even Spanish. Whatever.
You can just make up a name.
Yes, but yes, I do agree with you, Luke. People they'll pull the race card just because they don't want to try harder or to get better.
Not everybody, but yeah, I do think some people do.
Not everyone, but I'm saying
because I feel like whenever I assume
too.
that like let's move this out of race for a second. Whenever I assume that somebody else is just the problem all the time, I'm never gonna fix myself on anything. You know, I'm never gonna sit back and say like maybe I need to look at what I'm doing and the way I'm reacting. If I always blame someone else, you know, like when I'm in conflict and I assume that somebody else is totally the problem, there's never like this moment where I go, well, maybe there's something that I need to adjust or change or alter. Maybe not even flip, but just maybe I could be less aggressive or something. You know, like I don't know. I am worried about our culture in general in those aspects.
No, it's true. We don't debate anymore. You know, I'm right. I'm going
like
to be
football
right.
teams.
You're going to see that I'm
Red
right.
versus blue.
And if you're not right, screw you. And if you don't think I'm right, then screw you. We don't, because if we're wrong, you know, we're weak or the other person wins and no one likes that, which is our problem. Which is why we just pick up a gun and shoot someone, because it's a lot easier to do that than be wrong, have a conversation.
Yeah, I feel like we're both, like, I think people are more progressive and open-minded now than ever before, but also more, like, closed-minded and stupid and ignorant than ever before.
Yeah,
because now, like, it's so much easier to pick a group and be so, like, solid in that group
that
you don't have to
people as
actually
a
think
whole,
anymore.
they're like progressive in a very specific way and extremely closed-minded in a totally different way.
So here's a great example of that. Like, we all knew those kids growing up who were just, like, anti whatever, like, anti, like, church or anti whatever bands was popular, just to be anti it. Like, they didn't have like anything that was against the norm they liked.
It was hipster before hipster.
Or like, you know, like, or even like liberals these days who are anything that's against like normal, like anything that's not Christian, not straight, not like white, not like straight up American. Anything that's against that, they're cool with, because they're just rebelling in general. That's how a lot of our people are these days. Not that those things are right or wrong based on just being the opposite, but people choose things just because it's the opposite.
Right.
Because they feel that
it's a contrary
makes it more
sort of-
valid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and they feel like, oh yeah, since it's like a oppressed group, whether they're right or wrong, it's better to support them than to support the people in power. It's kind of like how it's okay to, like, it's not okay to fat shame women, but it's okay to, like, skinny shame women. Like, whatever
that's
group
kind
is
of
like
weird, because it's like
not marginalized, it's okay.
Well, it's not okay to skinny
it's
shame
not.
women
People
anymore.
like people.
it's such a fad.
don't care as
Everything's
much.
a
It's
fad.
It's more accepted.
It's literally like
people
everything's
care for the
okay
longest
one
time.
minute and then not the next, and it's like
Well,
this,
it's
just this
Yeah.
psycho. Like, what are we doing? Can we just?
Well, think about it this way.
I don't know.
It's okay
so
to like.
messy.
It's okay to make fun of like a really good-looking guy about how ugly he is, because you're obviously joking. But it's not okay to joke on a not great-looking guy for being ugly, because then you look like a jerk. You know, it's like whoever like is in power, or
Even then, that's all.
it is,
selective.
but basically whoever's like in power or in general benefiting from the way the world works, you kind of have a little more leeway to like
controls how we think.
poke at them. Whereas if you are a little bit more oppressed or like just less fortunate in some ways, it is worse. So there is a difference between like white to black and black to white, and like, you know, majority to minority. There is a difference between the ways that they're treated. Like, so one group can do the same thing to another group, but it has different like connotations and different consequences. So it's just complicated. I don't even know.
It is complicated.
It is stupid.
Stupid.
Why don't we all just love each other?
Just wrap it up with that.
Be
Yeah,
nice.
just stupid.
That's seriously. I don't understand why.
It is difficult, I think, especially. So think about where I live. You know, it's very different from Virginia. You know, in terms of
live
just
in the worst
what
place.
people. It's just here's the
Best
thing
Coast.
about it. Okay, it's just totally different culturally than what I'm used to, and I'm open. I've always been open to the idea that I'm wrong about stuff, and there's a lot of things that I have taken a stance against that I'm not going to believe this anymore because I think I'm wrong. But oh man, it's so far on the other side of the spectrum that I think it's too far in a lot of ways, and it does make it difficult because it's like I don't even talk about stuff like that. Like any of the stuff we said right now, I would not say publicly because people would probably lose their mind over it. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not even saying anything. I'm just kind of like taking a neutral stance and thinking about it. But you're almost not
Don't
allowed
say
to
it
even
publicly,
think
for sure.
about it.
You're bringing up something. You're bringing up another point that they don't want to think about because then they might see that what they think is not 100%.
I guess
It's a fear.
I don't know.
People are weak.
I had a talk with that with somebody. We were joking about it, about being West Coast and East Coast, and they were like, "Aren't East Coast like a lot more like roughed up and dogging each other more?" I was like, kind of. And so now
East Coast, Beast Coast.
the everyone over there has been like, "Oh, Luke can handle it. He's East Coast," and like say something mean, and then I'll say something like, "Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. I probably hurt your feelings. Sorry."
Nice.
But it is kind of true.
Yeah, race is crazy. It's complicated. I don't really understand everything that's going on with it. Because like I said, like we've been saying, kind of like, I feel like it's all this weird outside thing. Like no one that I know is really like, is racist. That in a way that matters.
Right.
Like, no one's like out there like oppressing others or even like making fun of others for being a different race. Like, you know, it's people are naturally a little bit racist because it's just like a preservation thing, like in your mind.
It is.
Things that are different from you are scary, no matter what. Like it's not because you're a bad person; it's just how your mind works. What makes you a good person?
I do think a lot of it is culture. Like we just have different cultures.
Definitely.
Like
Well,
if I
also,
say
like,
something,
culture is how you're raised.
if I say something that I expect someone to laugh at and they don't laugh, immediately I'm gonna be like, "Oh, all right. Well, that's kind of weird. They should have laughed at that.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
you
not
don't get
doing
along-
things
you
the way
don't-
I'm used to." And
Yeah, you can't
know,
get
it's
along
like,
with everybody.
what difference
Yeah.
does it make what color their skin is? It's just unfortunately
doesn't.
skin tends to correlate with culture a lot.
I think the only
Not
thing
saying that
matters-
racism isn't real because I know people will get me for that one.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that like I think you got to be careful that you're not seeing it where it isn't.
Well, a huge problem with racism too, just from the Black Lives Matter side of everything, is that it's almost not even that they care that people are racist. It's more people who try to deny that racism exists. It's like at least acknowledge, because I've always said if you acknowledge your racism, like if you're just like, yeah, I'm racist about this or I'm racist, I would like you a lot more than if you pretend to not be racist but are actually racist. Like just if you're racist, that's cool. I mean, we don't have to like. I mean,
cool.
it's not cool, but
All right.
That's awesome, dude.
it's cool. It's cool
Heck
if
yeah.
you're not going
Hate
out
those
into the
Jews.
world and making it a more negative place. But if you're racist, if you don't like Asians for whatever reason you have, I'm not gonna try to make you like Asians. That's not my business. But just
Plus, admitting it is half the problem. It's half the battle.
yeah, exactly. Just say I don't like Asians because I don't like that their feet are small or something, whatever. And then just call it a day. You don't have to go out and go over to Asia, bring a cannon and then blow up half of China. You don't need to do that.
Right.
Yep.
Just
Yeah, and it's okay
Don't
to
like
not like other
Asians.
people's cultures.
exactly.
It's like as long as you like the difference between being a racist and a bad person is if you just take your feelings or what you know and then treat people with just as much kindness and respect as you would treat anybody else.
Right.
Like it's not just about like not hurting others. It's just like, hey, just be nice to them anyway. Like I'm not like, for instance, like this sounds terrible, but I'm not a fan of like Jewish culture. Like I don't like their music or their food, but I love Jewish people. Like it's fine. I like go hang out with Jewish people all the time
Right.
if I am around them.
But the thing is,
But,
it's
like-
like you like people that you enjoy hanging out with.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's like
If people are into
there's a-
music
the
that I don't
problem,
like,
Them
I
being
think
a
the
Jew
issue-
has nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
Right,
it's just
right.
like what they
It's
do.
weird because
it's
it's
not
like-
something I'm into.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying like what some people do is just something I'm not into. Like, just like even if like I can hang out with another white person from the same culture that I'm in, but say they're like really into anime, and I'm like I like some animes, but not into anime.
Brother.
So I'd be like, oh yeah, like I like them, they're really cool, but I wouldn't hang out with them all the time because we're just
Right.
not into all the same stuff.
It's weird because like it's such a weird balance. Like this is such a losing the discussion we're having right now. It's
Oh
so
yeah, you can't
messy.
win the
If I gotta-
conversation of racism.
I can't
Can't
have
win.
this
There
conversation
is no
with people
winning.
because it just gets it explodes in awfulness.
There's
but it's
no
like
winning.
what we're talking about right now is like our personal feelings to the way we live our lives. You know, so it's whenever no matter what someone looks like, it's just kind of like I just enjoy hanging out with certain types of people. Now,
Yeah.
for example, like there's a lot of people that do like different drugs and stuff in Seattle, and it's like, all right, well, you make your choices. I'm gonna make my choices. Now, I will say that in general, people that tend to be obsessive over any sort of thing, I tend to not always enjoy hanging out with them. When it's just this one thing, whether it's like, well, whatever we're doing, we have to eat, or whatever we're doing, we have to go drink, or whatever we're doing, we have to go smoke pot. Like whatever it is, and people that tend to obsess over like, if we're gonna have a good time, we have to be running at 100 miles an hour, going and doing as many things as possible. Any type of person that does that wears me out. And a lot of people that tend to be overly obsessive about weed, like this whole weed culture, they're just all they want to do is sit and smoke. And personally, I'm like, I don't really enjoy this. This isn't really something I enjoy doing. And so, am I stereotyping a whole group of people as a rule, or just as a correlation? Which, you know, I'd like to hope it's kind of more the latter. It's just
Yeah.
this type of person
I
tends to do this type of thing.
But it depends. It depends on how it comes from you, because you could just be talking about this specific group of people you know, because you can't comment on other people who you don't know that might do similar things. So you can't comment on the whole group. I think that's what the issue is people try to comment on the larger scale of people instead of just talking about the people they're talking about.
Well, everyone makes assumptions, no matter how
Yeah.
much people try to paint it like people don't. But it's like, it's
we all
whether
assume,
I
we all
choose to
judge.
continue to follow those assumptions. So if I meet somebody and they talk a certain way, and this has nothing to do with race, really, it has more to do with personality. Someone talks a certain way, they like maybe they use more language or less language, or they talk louder or they talk softer. Whatever it is something about them makes me kind of assume I have seen people that talk like this, and this reminds me of someone else. I kind of think that this person is this type of person. It has nothing to do with their race or their sex or anything. It's just the type of people I've seen, my experience. Now, where
Then
it
you're
changes.
culturist.
Well, okay, hold up.
I was kidding.
Yeah,
It's
really. So you still suck and you're a horrible person. But where it comes from is the fact that I'm always open that I might just be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always open to the fact that like maybe I think this person is this way, and if I get to know them and they prove me wrong, I'll throw that out the window and go, oh, my first impression, which everybody has, I'm gonna get rid of it.
And
now.
bam, thank you, Luke. That brings up my whole point on this whole topic, is that we as people don't take the time to get to know other people or get to know why they think a certain way. We go off of our first impression. Our first impression is solid stone, and we react and we use that knowledge to base all of our decisions off of that
Right.
person or that group. But we don't actually, it's like the same thing. You could think of a person you meet, you could think something about them, but when you really get to know them, that's like my best friend. I hated him when I first met him. Hated his guts, right? And then one time I was like, you know what? I need to get to know him because I don't understand why I don't like him and why he thinks this way. And now, years later, we're best friends. But it's true. We just don't take time to...
The thing is, like, me and... I can talk about them because they're not on the podcast. Like, I probably wouldn't be friends with John and Brent. Not because I didn't like them, but I don't know if we would have just started talking for no reason. But we kind of just were around each other enough, and all three of us are really different. And we all click for different reasons. And it was mostly just because we got to know each other that we kind of found things to appreciate about each other and things to get along with. And the thing is, like, when you're meeting people and you're making first impressions, so long as you're writing those first impressions in pencil instead of ink, I don't think that that's racist or sexist or bigot or whatever.
It's not.
Deep.
We're I feel like everything I'm saying right now, I know people personally that would get really offended that I'm saying that, which
And
I
that's
can't
fine, 'cause
comprehend.
they're
It's
allowed
just
to
like,
do that.
I don't
They're
think I'm
stupid.
being that unreasonable.
Just kidding. No,
They're
I
not
totally
stupid.
agree.
They're
I'm just kidding.
They just live an unfortunate life if they think that way.
I feel like it'd be a very
Yeah.
like anger-filled life.
One
It
thing I
is.
think is interesting, like,
Imagine the
Um,
people who have like the blog posts about this every day. They're just typing angry, hate, like racist thing. Yeah, they're angry. They're bitter about
There's toaster.
something there
It's like there's
that they
steam
probably
coming out
go-
of their head like a toaster. Just
Yeah,
smoke.
exactly. And they probably experience no racism a day in their life, but here they are typing away.
I think also a hard thing for us is like we all definitely seem to be very much in the middle, and like
Yeah.
we said before, like we like to keep peace and like for instance, whenever I hear about,
I
an
mean, I'm not in
argument
the
or
middle.
anything-
Don't be racist.
Oh yeah. But like none of us are extreme right here.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
but
the
like
middle,
there's so many people
no, the
who want to
middle,
be
like,
extreme all the time.
I 100% agree. Racism is absolutely horrible. Don't do it. And
Yeah.
if I find anyone that I think is doing it, I'm going to stand up against them.
I mean, I think even like
That's
racists
it.
don't like racism either. Like the extreme sides are
Wait a
racist
second. What
towards
are
the
you-
other side.
What are you trying to say?
Racists don't like
Oh,
racism.
I'm saying like the extreme sides are just racist in a different direction. Like everyone knows that racism is wrong. Some people just like enjoy it. Like
I don't know about that.
Well,
I
maybe
think-
not. I
think
don't know.
that-
My point is,
for example, it's like I think. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Go
that's
ahead.
not really my point. I'm trying to. What I'm trying to say is like, it's hard when you are, maybe not in the middle, but like how we right now we're reasonable and we're not like so stuck on certain ideals that we can't think about it. You'd think that would be a good thing, but like Luke is saying, it does make some people mad. Like I'll talk to people, and like kind of out of habit, if I'm ever in between people, like two groups, like, oh, he said this, she said this, or they did this and they did this, I always try to soften it because usually interpersonal communication is like 50% intentional and the rest of it is like other factors. They weren't trying to be this way. They didn't start
Right.
out trying to be this way. They were like affected by this other thing that made them act like this. So like I'll try to like soften the blow or whatever, and they're like, no, this is bad because of this. I'm like, yeah, it's bad, but like they're not totally evil or like
there
this
is a
thing
lot.
isn't
Like as a
totally
peacemaker,
awful.
there's so much of this. Like, there's been days where I might have a bad day or I didn't sleep well, and so someone's trying to talk to me, or I'm distracted by something personal that's going on, and they're trying to have a conversation, and I'm not engaging correctly. People could take that and be like, "Wow, Luke's mad at me." Like he got mad for no reason. Like, why is he?
Exactly.
And it's like like that's literally not what I'm doing at all. And so when people come to me and say, "This person was definitely angry," or "This person was definitely sexist," or "definitely racist," definitely because of the way they reacted, because people kind of always base things around things that and things that they do and the way that they do them. So
Exactly.
I kind of, people put themselves to be like, well, no, if I was a racist and I was mad and I didn't like somebody, I would do this.
Yeah, they always compare.
So
it to
therefore, they
themselves.
must be doing the same thing. It's like, yeah, but they're not
Exactly.
you either, though.
Exactly. That's the
And
thing.
being
They don't
here
wanna
is the
get to
hardest
know
part because being here is the hardest part because it's hard to find a home on either side because I don't totally agree with either side. Like there's things that both sides do, or no, maybe not both, all 5, 6, I don't know how many sides there are. Everyone does.
People
I
in
disagree with
general.
wholeheartedly. And there are like things on every perspective that I can see value in, like, oh yeah, that makes sense, or this makes sense, because a lot of them are the same. Because deep down, everyone just wants to be respected, and like loved, and make money, and eat,
Yep. And if
and have
people,
fun. Like
if
we all
those
just
people
people.
could see that and open their eyes to that, we live in a much better world.
It is
They would, but
interesting
we
when you
won't,
kind
I've,
because
of
they
always,
suck.
I've said
When you
that.
really-
I've said that for years.
when you really look at it, if you look at both sides and you really dive in. So here's the thing. People will watch a very strong argument for things on the left and then watch very weak arguments for things on the right and be like, look at how obvious it is. I
Yeah.
should be on this side. And then vice versa. People watch something very strong on the right and very weak on the left and go, look how obvious this is. All these people are stupid. And the thing is, if you really dive into it and listen to people who are very intelligent and very smart and very not mocking, but very matter of fact about things and logical, there are very good arguments on both sides. And a lot of it comes down to personal belief. However, it is way easier to recruit more people if I can show them how stupid the other side is and how smart I am. So I'm never going to defend and argue against their good points because I don't have a good counter. But if I attack them where they're weak and where their problems are, I can make them look bad. And so now you got
Yeah.
these people swinging from one side to the other, hitting people in the sensitive spots, and then and like coming up with these arguments and attacking them where they can't defend well. And it's like it's just such a mess. That's the way I really kind of feel about it. That just everyone is shooting each other, and it's this big mess of miscommunication. and misfocus, and yeah, it's literally two groups just sitting in their little corners talking about how stupid the other group is, and just amping themselves up.
So, well, my point is like people on both sides or all sides, however many, I don't even know how many sides there are. People everywhere claim there are Christians on every side, and there's other religions on every side that are like that cross sides, and like Christianity, the whole point of it is about love, but like people still are so blinded that they are literally not doing the very opposite of love to the other side. Like conservatives, there are conservative white people on the I don't know, the white side. I don't know what side it is. And there are conservative black people on the Black Lives Matter side who both like believe that Jesus wants us to love each other. They both believe in like, you know, like the same politics. They both want like low taxes and everyone to buy their own healthcare, whatever. But like they disagree on like these silly things.
Very trivial.
Yeah, and they both, everything that they believe is the same. Like I know people who, like I know tons of African Americans who have the exact same views as tons of white people that I know, like on everything. But there's still all this divide for no reason. And these people in particular that I know don't have the divide. But there are so many people out there who have these exact same views, who all claim to love Jesus, who Jesus is all about loving everybody else.
Yeah.
And they still suck at loving everybody else. Like I know we suck anyway because we're humans, but like they try really hard not to love everyone. It's just crazy.
It's like you said before. We've lost our core values as humans. You know, treat others the way you want to be treated, with love, make a living for yourself. Like, I said, 'cause when we talked about this in our life group, I said that we were put on this earth to basically not create life, but live life together. Everything is based off of humans. Humans build things that humans use, yada yada. We're all in this together, so why don't we actually just be in this together instead of tearing each other apart?
This together.
Oh no.
I hate that movie.
That's,
but anyway.
That's my whole viewpoint on it. It's like why tear each other down over really stupid stuff when we all really want the same thing? We can just work together to make that happen.
I don't even know what the goal of either side would be. Like, because no one, like, I don't think anybody, well, maybe not anybody, but I feel like most people don't really want to defeat, like, all black people or all white people. Like,
I don't think anyone wants to hate anyone.
Yeah, but, like, there are these things that are happening, and there definitely are people who do hate the other side.
Yeah.
And do want bad things to happen, but most people, I don't feel like they do. And I think most people, like, they hold on to it like an idea, like a football team or a movie that they love, and they just love it for some reason. And I don't know. I don't understand it. I get how sometimes different groups of people can be scary or different or intimidating or like weak to you or whatever. You might dislike them. But I don't understand what's happening.
Cultured, probably won't think that way.
I don't know. It's crazy. It makes me really sad. So this is a slight plug, but this Friday. Well, tonight, if you're listening to the podcast in real life.
Oh yeah, your concert, right?
I'm playing at a worship night at my church. It's called City Life in Newport News, and it's down on Shoe Lane behind CNU. Maybe we'll put the address in the show notes or something.
I used to live right there.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
We're having a worship night there, and a lot of the people in the church is a very like mixed race church. And a lot of the African Americans in the church have been actively talking about what's going on lately because they are like legitly worried. And all their friends, like, it's a very peaceful place. And like what I love about this church and like these kind of events is the purpose is not about race, but obviously that's like what's happening right now. So everyone's coming together to show support for each other and love each other. So if you live in Newport News, come to that. It'd be cool. But
that's right, you can meet
like
Michael.
that's what we need to be doing. Yeah, you can meet me. I'll be signing
Exactly.
autographs.
Preach, Michael.
But yeah, dude, it's just crazy. I don't understand. It's really hard to talk about because, like I said, like I'm a white person, and I understand that like my opinion, as a person who
no one cares about your opinion.
And I understand how like what I say can sound callous to somebody or like sound racist or super conservative to somebody who doesn't know what I'm trying to say. So for me, it's always been a hard conversation to have with people who I don't know very well. But I wish that it'd be easier and that we could just show each other that we love each other and not be so divided. And it's just crazy. Racism sucks. Just love each other. We all want it. Just give it. Don't be mean. Cool.
Right.
And preach.
But I think
Yeah.
so. Last week we solved economics. This week we solved racism.
That's right. It's all solved now.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Literally
What are we gonna
nobody will
solve
listen
next
to this
week?
and be offended.
Find it on the podcast.
I think people are gonna be offended. I know I for sure said things in weird ways
Oh, I know.
that I don't think came across
100%
right.
People. I don't
If
think
you talk
anybody-
about race, people will always be offended.
I don't
no
think
matter
that
what
I
you say.
know anybody that listens to this who will be offended. I don't think I know anybody who will listen to this. But it's like, how can this be so offensive? But it would be. It probably would be. I think people get offended by this.
We'll find out.
We'll find out if we end up in a blog
Offensive
tomorrow.
because we don't have the same opinion as them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
I think
why
most
get
people.
offended.
I think most people will probably
No,
appreciate what we're trying to say.
but maybe. Hopefully.
Reasonable people.
We'll find out.
If you are smart, I'm not saying that. If you are open, if you are an open-minded person, you should enjoy what we have said about this. You should think the same way if you're open-minded.
Yes.
Yep.
And if you're closed-minded, open your mind.
I can't help you.
And if you claim to be a Christian, then and you're not,
Be a
you're
Christian.
being-
Act
then-
like one.
Yeah. If you're sucking at it, stop sucking. I know you suck
What
because that's
would
how the
Jesus
There
world
we go.
works.
That's what we'll end
But
with.
stop
If
sucking.
you suck, stop sucking.
Stop doing it.
That's the key to making the world a
Stop
better
sucking.
place. You
Okay,
suck.
so-
Stop it.
Anyway, Michael, I'm curious if there's anything else you want to try and cover before we wrap up this podcast.
Yeah, my notes for this part were Civil War history, racism, and Nazis with exclamation points. But we kind of touched on that earlier. Also, we've been going on for a while, so I'm cool if we go off now.
Okay.
At least from this topic. Do you guys have any like funny stories?
Oh, I have an update. So, all right. So I talked about this on 2 podcasts, but we went to Chuck E. Cheese again today, and so I went.
Wait,
all I
so
did
wait,
today,
wait,
I
2
didn't
podcasts.
even.
How many podcasts are you on?
I talked about Chuck E. Cheese on 2 podcasts.
2
No, on
episodes.
on 2 episodes
Yeah.
of this podcast.
So for context, people, backstory, he tried to win a SpongeBob card from a game for like 10 hours, and then ended up stealing one from a little kid, and then
No.
then
The
another
kid
little
tried
kid
to-
stole
no.
it from her.
Wait,
Stole it from him.
I won the card. She's tried to steal it from me. I never stole it from the kid. Let's get that clear. So, I won the Sandy card and the SpongeBob card last time. So,
Okay.
we went again today, and I went straight over to the machine. Didn't even do my job. I didn't pay attention to one kid. I didn't help them with the whole time. I swear to you, all 3 hours, all I did was play this game. And so I won 6 cards. So now I have the complete set. I have Sandy, SpongeBob, Patrick, Plankton, Squidward, and I think that's it because I got 2 duplicates that I gave away to kids because I'm nice. So that's my update on that story. So if you win all 8 cards, I think you get a special bonus prize. So I need Mr. Krabs and Pearls, and I'll have the complete set. So
Awesome. Did Luke get cut off?
No, I'm still here. I'm just listening.
Oh.
I'm not talking. It must be very weird. Does anybody have any plugs? We're going to just kind of finish this thing up here. Shayne, why don't you start?
yeah, sure. So I have a YouTube channel called This Is the New Year, which you can check me out on. And you can follow me on Twitter at Mr. McCaddy. And I have a question about the YouTube channel because I said on the last podcast that I was going to get to 20 episodes and then I was going to look for a new name, like an official name. Well, update on that. I think I found one, but I'm not going to say it yet. But I have a question for Mike and Luke because I know you said you watched the video. How was it? Because that was the first episode I ever did scripted, and I kind of want to know feedback.
Oh, the one with
on
like the
it.
puppet in the beginning and
Yeah.
the
The
video?
whole episode was scripted. Yeah.
Okay. I liked it. I think the skit in the beginning was funny.
Yeah, I like the skit. I think that the thing about skits is it gives you something to kind of do to open everything up. Actually, just
Yeah.
to tell the audience, basically Shayne started his show by doing a little skit between him and a puppet, and I thought it was funny. You know,
Don't
I think
spoil it so they can watch it.
at the end of the skit, this is exactly what happens. No, okay, so
Yeah, and then
He-
you showed some things that were cool. Yeah, I
yeah.
thought it was good.
yeah,
It
no, I
didn't
liked it.
sound. It didn't sound scripted.
It didn't sound scripted. Okay, that's okay. Great. That's
Besides the puppet, but yeah, I didn't think
well,
you were scripted.
Yeah. But
So it was awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I liked it. I think that because I'm an editor, that the show went on for a little long, but I know that it was a big part of the video was showing the performance.
Oh yeah, I couldn't cut it.
Right. Which
Check out the
so
whole
when
thing.
I was watching, I was like, I know, like, where are you gonna cut this thing? And you really can't.
Yeah. I thought about it, but I was like, no, that takes all.
Yeah, it was still good.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
I still think it was good. It showed what it needed to show.
Yep, it was a good video.
So you got a new name,
Awesome.
you got a new video to check out.
New
What
name
else?
coming soon. Oh, also too, you can check out my podcast that I host, the Pop Talk Podcast, where I talk about music and all those fun things. That's on SoundCloud at Pop Talk Podcast.
I've been meaning to ask you, is Pop Talk a pun on Pop Tart?
No, I used to joke about that too. No, it just
Pop Tart Podcast.
honestly, it was just like I like to talk about pop music. The original name was going to be Talk. What was it going to be?
Talk Pop.
Something about talking, something like that. And I said Pop Talk, and I said, oh, I kind of like that, so I just stuck with that. But yes,
nice.
it kind of is a play on Pop Tarts because I do like Pop Tarts.
They are good.
What's the best flavor Pop Tart? This has a right answer, by the way.
All right. Well, my all-time favorite, my current favorite right now that I've been eating a lot is the wild berry, but my all-time favorite is blueberry with frosting.
Oh, really? Most people I know, their favorite is the cinnamon one.
The cinnamon sugar.
Yeah, I think cinnamon's my
Blueberry
favorite.
Yep.
with
That one
frosting.
or
And you
the-
have to
there's, like,
toast it.
Ice cream
You have
sundae.
to toast it.
Yes.
You don't have to. It's good. It's good untoasted, but it also
No, it is good. I
toasted.
eat it untoasted all the time, but if you want the best experience, toast it.
Yes, toast it. Michael, what about you?
Yeah. So I mentioned before. So this weekend I got two things going on. They're very local. So if you don't live in the Hampton Roads area, sorry, unless you want to drive out to see it. Tonight, Friday, the 18th, whenever you're listening to this, there's a worship night at City Life Church. It's at 311 Selden Road, Seldon, Newport News, Virginia, 23606. It's like basically just a big, like, united time for people to come together and worship Jesus. If you're a Christian, if you're into that, if you want to know about church, that's also a good time to come. And they will be doing water baptisms. So if you're a Christian and you want to get baptized, that's a great time to go. Also on
Is
Sunday,
there gonna be food?
I don't know if there'll be. There
That's a
probably won't be
selling
food,
point.
but there might be food afterwards. Usually after these kind of events, we'll go get food
Oh,
together.
okay, that's same thing. Awesome.
And then on Sunday, my girlfriend and I are playing at this acoustic battle of the bands at Anne Marie's Pub on Sunday night at 8:30 on 13756 Warwick Boulevard, Newport News, Virginia 23602. If we win, we get like a gig that'll pay us $200, and then if we win the next round, we get $400 cash. So come out, support us. It'd be cool. I'm pretty good at guitar. She has an amazing voice, so you should come for that.
That's right. Come out and support
And
Michael. Show him some podcast fan love.
yeah, I'll try to get some video of it and post it.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
do have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is the same as my Instagram, I think. Michael Demas, Mykol, and then Demas is Dimas. I think it's 2 words on my YouTube. I'll see if I can get some video
Right.
posted on there. But yeah,
Okay.
check it out.
Yep. All right. So for me, so I recently just released a very big video. It was something I worked on for about 5 months. Now, it doesn't mean, just to clarify, I worked on it for 5 months straight. It means I started it 5 months ago, and I'd work on it, and then I'd stop, and then I'd work on it, and I'd stop, and so and so. And I finally decided to release it. But it's been getting a lot of positive attention. Just to read a couple quotes. Someone said, it's like I'm there with you. Every moment was compelling and by far your best vlog. So it's getting a lot of positive views and or positive
Yeah, it
comments
was
and
awesome.
stuff.
I liked it.
Yeah, and I put a lot of work into it. So if you haven't watched it
Is
yet,
the one on Facebook?
have you watched it?
I haven't watched
Oh,
it yet,
Shayne,
no, because
yeah.
I saw how
Yes.
long it was. I just
It's
haven't
like
had time.
5 minutes long. It's like so
Watch it while you
short.
poop. Jane, next time you
I
go
know.
poop, watch it.
I haven't had time, Luke.
All right, well, definitely watch it and definitely comment because I like hearing what people think of it. It's really really important for people to hear it. I think it's really or hear it, watch it because it's really really good. And I actually have another podcast. Oh, I have another video coming out. I think I'm gonna release it on Monday, and it's actually a pretty big vlog. A lot of stuff kind of happens into it, and it's very different. Again, I'm trying some new things, so definitely check that out. It's going to be coming out on my channel, which is Luke Roxwood Vlogs, and yeah. So if anything, go to my Facebook page and watch the latest video that I released. Oh, like a bundle of. I can't talk right now. So
I have a question about that, Luke. Is there a reason why you did that one on Facebook?
Yeah, because I kind of wanted to attract attention from people who don't normally watch my vlogs, and YouTube. Okay, we're about to get into
Facebook
here.
throttles YouTube links.
Yeah,
So it's a
Facebook
good
does
idea to get your name out
not.
there.
Facebook does not
Yeah.
prioritize YouTube shares, and they prioritize
Obviously.
a lot of Facebook like videos. Videos will show up much longer on Facebook. But unfortunately, when people watch the videos on Facebook, they don't get driven to your YouTube channel, which I don't like. But
Yeah.
if you have put it on Facebook, people will watch this 5-minute highlight video and be like, "Whoa, this is really cool! Look at all these videos
let me
Luke
go
does."
see the other one.
And maybe
And then
check
if they're
out the
into
channel.
YouTube, they can go there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that marketing. Ooh.
Yeah, I did so much marketing the last couple days. I'll talk to you guys about it offline. So yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks, guys. I appreciate everybody who listened. I might delete this episode. I don't know. We'll have to just see if we
Who
end up on a
knows?
vlog tomorrow.
man.
So thanks for tuning in, everybody.
y'all later.
Yeah, see you guys.
Outro music.
Watch your music. Fake news. Don't be racist.